right, hello everybody, and welcome to Theorycraft Thursdays. We, of course, are a Dota 2 podcast. It's TI season, so we don't want to be insincere. We've got to just be a Dota podcast.
We don't want to scare people.
Yeah, we absolutely don't want to scare people. No, that's I was gonna say that's the Friday show, but I was like, oh wait, we have a Friday show. That's the Tuesday show. That's the scary show, and that's why nobody gets it because it's very mysterious.
Okay.
I am here with my co-host Proud. Hello, Proud.
Yeah. Hi, Ursam.
Yep, Ursam. That's a good mix. Maybe I should rebrand to that.
Ursinity.
Yeah, Ursamity. I'll use. It's not really.
So what are we doing? Or like,
what do you mean? What are we
doing?
doing?
Your name. I'm gonna be honest. I don't want to talk about your name. Let's go.
All right. Okay. I mean, I feel like you're really stifling my creativity here, bud. All right. We're just gonna talk about Dota 2, shall we? How's our week in Dota been? Obviously, we're going to be talking about TI this episode, but first we got to talk about ourselves because that's what's more important.
Well, how's your week been? Have you played any Dota 2?
Yeah, I actually played a bunch of games.
That's good to hear.
I did. Okay, so this is actually a decent talking point. It's not really a decent talking point, actually. That's a lie. But I've been forcing myself to play a lot more Dota because I fell off the wagon a little bit, got distracted with other games.
Yeah.
And I'm committing to going back to playing ranked and trying to do another grind, MMR wise, post TI, because I feel like after every tournament, right, you get that like reinvigoration with Dota. You're like, oh man, watch so many good people play Dota, and you're like, oh, this is dope, I love it.
And that statement came with like the assumption that there's a de-invigorating point, which is a weird concept, but sure.
There is like those lulls where it's like, ugh, like
I really don't.
That's fair. I mean, do you not like? I feel like every few months I'm like, Dota, like it's just frustrating, and you complain a bit, and then you give it another month.
I'm not sure if maybe I'm just completely devoid of feeling, which is that's kind of more your shtick. I don't think I only really have like one positive emotion in my life, and it's that I like to play Dota 2. Everything else, I just we'll just avoid it, and we'll just keep playing Dota 2.
I suppose. Regardless, I'm going to be going back to playing ranked and like taking Dota much more seriously in terms of, not that I don't take Dota seriously now, but I want to take improvement more seriously post TI, and so that's my like personal goal. And so I've just been forcing myself to play more Dota now, even on times where I wouldn't do something else.
Bear just died to 2 fucking serpent wards because the bear fucking sucks against him. Anyway, go on with you or whatever.
So I played a bunch of games. The one standout game is something that you would enjoy, and you'll be surprised. I played a Doom game, and actually, I think somebody listens to this show was in my game, if I recall correctly. And everybody knows, like, I hate Doom, dude. He's like my least favorite hero in the entire world.
What lane was your Doom at?
Off lane.
Okay.
And I picked it. Let's see.
Offline on Steam? Are you here? Because this is all much easier if I can just look at your fucking profile while you.
I don't think I'm offline on Steam. Let's look.
What are you? You're.
I'm online,
right? Okay.
Yeah. .p.ursi.
.p.ursi. Okay, so it's.
I never changed my name.
There we go. Yeah, you changed your icon though, so it's very.
I did.
Right, recent games. Where's your Doom game? All right, what did you build?
It's in the top.
Yeah, I know. I found it. That's why I'm asking. All right, yeah, 10, 1, and 20. This looks great. The enemy team had no offlaner and a Medusa and a Puck.
Yes, so they first picked Puck, if I recall correctly, or they first picked Medusa, one of the two. And I was like, man, I should just play Doom. And it was a very fun Doom game, which I say like hurting my soul a little bit. But as much as I hate this hero fundamentally, I really enjoyed myself, and it was fun. It was fun to play something out of my comfort zone, and it definitely made me more aware of some of the weaknesses of Doom.
Yeah, namely that he's not very good. That's kind of one of the main weak points, I feel like.
Yeah, so I feel like Doom is one of those heroes that is under that archetype of heroes where you feel like you're way tankier than you actually are. Like early game Bristleback is like this, I would say, and like a lot of like strength cores where it's like, oh, I have 3,000 health. It's like, yeah, but like you don't have armor or you're not mobile or whatever, and then you just get killed quickly. Yeah. I feel like Doom is like that for me because I just assumed like, oh, I'll be tanky. And then it was like, oh, I'm getting zoned by a Bane because I have a stout shield and tangos, and he has a like and he has
damage base, and you have 0 armor and 700 health.
Yeah, and I'd be like, oh, I'll trade with him. Like even in like the middle of the laning phase, once I had Burning Blade or Infernal Blade, whatever it's called, I'd be like, oh, like I'll slap him around, and it's like, yeah, he just like absorbs all my life, brain saps me. Which
it turns out Bane's pretty good at zoning people.
Yeah, man, it made me want to go play Bane again because I went on a real stint playing Bane. But then scaling to the game, I was greedy and I bought a Midas because it was a pub, and I was like, "There's no way this game's going to end in a reasonable amount of time."
Yeah, a lot of people liked Midas Doom.
Yeah, so I went Midas, Phase Midas, and then I went for a Blink Dagger. It looks like I went Blink Dagger. Oh no, I bought Hood. Then I went Blink Dagger, and then I went Shiva's Finished Pipe, AC Heart, and then I got BOTs.
Yeah, and that makes sense for this game. I mean, they don't have anyone that does any damage that's not magic, besides Medusa, which doesn't exist until, like 40 minutes in, so Hood first seems pretty intelligent. I guess there's Bane with the Brain Sap Pure, but, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can see it. Most Dooms I've been seeing these days are like, they get like BKB really early.
Oh, yeah?
Something like, whatever boot option you want to get, maybe a Solar Crest or something as your armor item. And then, like, Blink BKB or just BKB. Maybe Drum instead of, Drum. Because, like, you either, like, you need mana regen in some form, and it's nice to have armor. So if you get, like, Medallion or whatever, that pretty much takes care of your mana regen, the 50%, and then you can change that with the Drum, which also has the 50% increased mana regen. So, like, those are kind of interchangeable, and it's just like, do you want the armor, or do you want the team aura of the, like, just being able to, like, move around faster? And it's, I mean, it's also nice with Doom, because Doom has his W, Scorched Earth, gives him a percentage move speed increase, and they changed Drum to be a flat move speed, so the plus, 40 whatever move speed that it gives you is then modified by his 14% that he gets with
Burning Soil.
Scorched Earth. Yes, and then also a lot of times he gets phase boots, so hey, synergy.
Yeah, it was, so as usual, I looked to the Dota Buff guide section just to see what some higher more Doom players were doing, and then I pretty promptly ignored the fact that all of them go Drum first.
Right.
Almost unilaterally. But like the vast majority go Drum first, like Phase Drum or Tranquil Drum or whatever.
Yeah.
And yeah, I definitely felt like I should have went Drum, even, like you said, just for the movement speed, regardless of all the actual good stats and whatnot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that was a fun game because it was just super out of my comfort zone, and like offlane is definitely my worst position when it comes to Dota.
Right.
And so it was fun. Other than that, though, I just played a few Invoker games and more mid games, stuff like that. Yeah, more of the same. I played a really good Invoker game today that was exciting. I played, so it was a 5-stack against myself as a solo player, and then a 4-stack. So I was like, man, I gotta not disappoint these people because I know I'm gonna get flamed off uncontrolled
from the 4 people that were all like ready to go into a game together.
Actually, I was AFK during draft, which I did not advise, and I almost never do.
Default got mid through some act of God.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever been more confused in my life than playing in this game, and I was like, oh, I'll just come back because I'll just play whatever. And because I went to like get water or whatever, I was like, oh, it'll be fine. I'll just play support because nobody picks support. And so I get back, and it's like we have a Wraith King and a Winter Wyvern, a Spirit Breaker, and a Pudge. And it's like, well, who's gonna go mid? And they were like, oh, you're gonna go mid. I was like, oh my god, like what world is this? But so it was a really good Invoker game. I had to play against a Lycan, which we saw a lot of today for the for the TI group stage games. Yeah, lots of Lycan, and people were going back to Necrobook Lycan. And so that was very like, I had to quickly adjust to the fact that exists in my games again. And I made some mistakes, but it was a very like intense, like my hands were shaking at the end. It was a 59-minute game with like buybacks and all wild stuff. Yeah, so that was very fun. So I've been enjoying just playing more solo games and just like forcing myself to play, even when like I might have wanted to do other things.
Yeah.
So yeah, how about you? How's your week in Dota been so far?
It's been pretty good. I've been getting pretty bored of a lot of the heroes that I've been playing. Like, I want to take a break from Sven for a little while. That's just a fact about me. And Juggernaut, but like there's no fucking, like, as a carry player, I have no choice but to play Juggernaut. There's often a time where I say to myself, it'd be fun to play a game where I don't play Juggernaut. And then they pick fucking like Crystal Maiden and Kunkka as their support duo. And then their mid is like, I don't fucking know. What were the goddamn cores this game? They had a PA and it was like PA, Viper, and then they had like a Coddle. And I was like, all right, so I need a hero who can build MKB and also very easily get out of fucking like mana leak, and to just make mana leak not an issue, and so that when a Coddle Blast comes through, we're able to continue pushing. Oh, also it has to be able to 1v1 Legion Commander, and I was like, that's Juggernaut. Juggernaut's the only hero in the game that has fucking and also Manta style to fucking dispel the Coddle Blind. Like, Jesus Christ. And they had a Viper too, so it's like, oh yeah, and then I also need Manta to dodge the Viper Strike, and it's like all this shit, and then I also need to deal with the Mana Void, or not Mana Void, the Mana Leak, and it's like, all right, like Juggernaut's the only hero with enough dispels and magic immunities and Omni Slashes and shit to deal with that, and I also need a Linken's. Can you think of a single fucking hero that can build Linken's and MKB early on? Like Weaver, maybe?
Yeah, Weaver, and you could... Not
Faceless,
really. Yeah, I was thinking about Faceless, or like... You had like one other item in between.
Farm so slow on a Faceless that went Linken's MKB.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it'd be rough, but yeah. You're absolutely right with
I
like.
had to play Jug, and it was shitty, and I hated it. But we won. It was like I was 24, 4, and 8. Like it was a correct choice, but I was still upset.
Yeah,
I've been playing a little bit of Anti-Mage because there's that tournament where AM it just like stomped, and I was playing this one game at 3:30 a.m. Where I picked AM, 3:30 Anti-Mage, where I picked Anti-Mage, and we actually had a team which wasn't so bad, but it was like, okay, so I want you to guess the lane went bad. I want you to guess when I got an item that wasn't brown boots. Like my first purchase that was not brown boots. Like what minute mark was I able to graduate past my inventory being Stout Shield, Quelling Blade, Mana Boot, or brown boots?
Oh, okay. All right. So you just had brown boots. You didn't go treads.
I only have maybe upgrading to treads. All I have is Poor Man's Shield, brown boots, and a Quelling Blade. The Quelling Blade was gotten a lot later than the brown boots, I will also add. So when did I graduate from just having 3 items in my inventory as well as the Tengos that I did have to buy in a number of times I will not reveal to you?
Okay, let's see. All right, so logically thinking, we have to say your lane was absolutely miserable, but
right.
You weren't feeding because I know you and you don't feed. Well, you will just stay behind tower. You had a Quelling Blade so you can get some creeps, but you're pressured super hard. I want to say you probably got like finished treads or got, whatever the heck you were going to buy at like somewhere in that 12-ish minute range, because I feel like
not bad. I got Ring of Health at 11 minutes.
Okay, yeah. So I was going to say like that's usually when like if you're being pressured, people like rotate their whole team to do something. Yeah. And I was like, all right, that's when he can leave his tower range and then go do whatever. Or you'd have enough levels to like jungle a camp, maybe. I don't know.
At 10 minutes, I was 400 gold behind their 4, so it was that kind of game. They're off. They did like an off tri lane with Shadow Shaman and Shadow Shaman Witch Doctor Faceless Void, and yeah, the Faceless Void has 4,000 net worth, and I have like Poor Man's Shield and the pair of boots, and I'm like, oh fuck.
Yeah,
but it's the kind of thing where like they're going aggro tri lane, and someone is playing a 4, and the 4 is like, 4s have to rotate, and that means be anywhere besides the safe lane. But like, no. Like, if there's, what you want to rotate on? People who are gonna die. You know who's gonna die? The dudes in front of your safe lane tower. Like, go help that. That's not, anyway, that's my beef on 4s. Anyway, yeah, point being, the game was one of those started from the bottom, now we hear games. And it was like a total fucking catastrophe, like down early game. This dude picked Dragon Knight mid into Razor. That's not a thing a person should do with their life. Like, if you have enough MMR to be playing ranked Dota 2, like if you have enough hours that privilege has been given to you, like one of the things in the handbook, like one of the little in-game loading screen tips that pops up is like, don't fucking pick Dragon Knight into Razor for fuck's sake. Holy shit, please do not do this. But the dude played fucking great, so apparently he's way smarter than I am. And it was great, man. Just any one of those games where you're below farm on their 4 at 10 minutes, and you like continually ping your inventory that your highest net worth item is like the Poor Man's Shield that you started the game with, and then you end fucking like 10k up on the Faceless. Like, I felt good, man. It was a good feeling, especially because I don't play AM, and I hate AM in pubs, but I just didn't want to fucking play Juggernaut. That was the only thing that was in my head. And then the next game, of course, I had to play Juggernaut. Anyway, point being, yeah, AM, super fun, really good. He saw a shit ton of play at at that one tournament that everyone knows, where it was where Planet Odd was playing, and I think they won or something. No, they got second.
R.I.P. Planet Odd.
Yeah, well, anyway, that team, the team formerly known as Planet Odd, formerly known as DC. Yeah, I played some Troll with the fucking Mask of Madness. That shit is dope, dude. At Mask Troll, I'm never not playing Mask Troll. Like, people are playing in with the Vlad sometimes at TI, which is, that's its own thing. But like, as far as Pub Void, I'm a build Mask of Madness every fucking game. It's so fucking good.
Void or Troll?
Or Troll, yeah, sorry. I'm really bad at talking, which is why I'm on a podcast, so I'm glad that you're there to fix me.
I mean, because people do the same thing on Void. Like, some people are going Mask and other people aren't. Yeah, that's interesting. It's funny because when you talk about AM, I have not been playing AM because I've been playing like so many solo queue pubs where I'm like, I cannot pick somebody this greedy and lane losing potentially.
See, there's the AM thing though, is that like there's a Spectre that's greedy and game losing, and then there's AM where it's just like, yeah, and then you get this game to this weird state where they like underestimate you, and then you just rat your way to hell. Like, dude, okay, as Dire, or just really as anyone farming like your off lane camps and then the like safe lane hard pull camp of the enemy team. So like if I'm Dire, which I was in this game, like the Dire, those two camps in the Ancients, and then like you walk through the Dire bottom shrine, and then you just like go to the small camp in that little nook and the hard camp in that little nook that the Radiant safe lane usually uses to pull. Just like fucking kill that and kill a camp, and then you just like keep looping that. And there's like never fucking a reason for anyone to go to that part of the map. There just isn't. Like, once the game goes past 20 minutes, no one exists on that side of the map unless it's to kill the Dire off lane tier 2. That's the only reason anyone has ever lived there. So I just farmed that all day. Like, AM Dire is awesome.
Yeah, it's funny because AM is simultaneously so awful to play from behind and so amazing to play from behind some games. Right.
Because he can make just as much space from behind as anyone else. Like, I threatened a Rax when my only thing in my inventory was like, I had like Yasha Battle Fury at like 25 minutes, and they couldn't Rax because I was just in the right place. Like, that's fucking dope. That's only anti-mage shit. But then Clinks dies because they TP and then they pop dust, and then Clinks is slow, and it's really sad.
Yep. Anything else standing out to you before we get into it?
So I've been playing Clinks again. Clinks is actually good. He was bad, but he's good now. He feels good. The duration was shitty, and if you get used to it, the duration of his ulti, so it used to just like not be quite enough to make it okay that it's only up sometimes now, but now it's good enough that I can just kind of go into a game and I just fucking kill people. And yeah, like, because you don't have to use it as much, the mana that you consume is or rather, it's way less, like, I want to say, it constrains your mana less. There you go. So, I mean, I hit Soul Ring on Clinks, and now I don't even have like a voice in my head telling me to get it. I still see people buying Soul Ring on Clinks. It's fucking shit. Don't stop buying Soul Ring on Clinks. Anyway, yeah, you just go like Aquila, Medallion, and then you can go Deso after that if you want. Upgrading the Medallion to Solar Crest is nice, but like the mana or the damage differential is not big. I'd rather just get a Deso and have minus 14 armor whenever I'm hitting a nerd instead of fucking like 10. Sounds way better. So I just do that, and then you go into Bloodthorn or Scythe. Like, I've been doing a lot of. I had this one game against an anti-mage where I did was Medallion, Bloodthorn, and then Scythe of Vice, and it was just like I was just made out of control. It was fucking awesome. It was dope as shit. Yeah, Clinks is good. And my Lone Druid build changed up a bit. I don't go Bassi anymore. Instead, I just go Medallion, and I build Deso most games. So I just have like Medallion, Deso, Lone Druid, and it's way better than just Deso Lone Druid. We've improved upon the formula.
Cool.
All right, that's Dota 2.
Didn't you do that game do that build in the game where I played Lina versus Brood mid?
Yeah, that game was awful though.
Yeah, that game was horrendous.
I've done that in a lot of games. The last time I played it was a 6-1 game for me, and you were not in that one. That was with a Chaos Knight.
Yeah. Anyway, to transition to talking about TI, I was watching the last game I watched today. Matumba Man, I want to say, played Brood mid against who was it? Against the Faceless Void,
I think. Yeah, Sumail on Faceless Void for some fucking reason.
And that game gave me flashbacks to my freaking Lena game playing against Faceless, playing against Broodmother. God, what a
Brood mid is quite like that's. There are some things that, like, it's cool that you're able to stomp a matchup with a cool counter pick, but also, like, you should not be able to stomp a matchup with a cool counter pick like that. That's especially, not okay.
Like, the it's so different. Like Brood mid is so different, I want to say, to Brood like traditional in the off lane. And it is like when I'm watching, like I was watching that game from today, and it was really cool how like he had his webs placed perfectly so that he could be like, all right, I push my lane out, but they have wave clear, so I just take my spiders and I go jungle these 3 ancient camps, and I do X, Y, and Z.
Not ancient camps. That would be a very strong Brood.
That would be
ancient camps.
Well, I mean, he's using his hero with it.
He was actually doing ancients, but not 3.
Doing ancients.
Like, he didn't do like a 3 stack.
Oh no, not stacks of ancients, but like he would kill a set of ancients and then
all right, kill these 3 ancient, like the individual units inside of the camp. Literally, no one refers to camps by the individual units.
No, I didn't mean it like that. I mean 3 different ancient camps.
Okay, so in the course of the laning stage, he has cleared that camp 3 times.
No, 3
what
different.
What the fuck are you trying to say?
I don't know how this is so complicated.
Neutral?
Okay.
Are you saying neutral camps?
Okay, let me explain to you what Matama Man was doing. He's playing Radiant Brood, right? There's the ancient camp next to your shrine, right? That's just below tier 1.
Got it.
He would kill that camp.
Okay.
Or rather, he'd push out the lane, but then once the lane's pushed out, he would go kill that camp. Then he had his web set up in such a way that he could then go entirely over to the camp near top rune on the Radiant side, kill that ancient camp, and then he had enough webs once he was like level 8 or whatever, and had the adequate levels.
Of webs.
And then he would get over to the Dire Shrine ancient camp and take that.
Wild. That's really cool. Yeah, see, when I think of Brood mid, I was just thinking like, Brood and then, the camp that's north of him, but that's wild. You can do that shit with all them webs?
Yeah, it was such cool web placement. And it meant that he could basically come in from any angle at this mid, because they were playing Winter Wyvern against it, and he just couldn't push lanes with his Brood because he would just feed. I think they're pointing out the Wyvern had like 150 CS at 20 minutes. The Wyvern? Just through like the Wyvern was just picking apart, like they also had a Nature's Prophet. It was really cool. Like from an admirer standpoint, it was fun to watch and innovate, but yeah, it was miserable to play against. Although my guy didn't do the Ancients thing, but he did like have multiple like subsections. It was like playing freaking StarCraft. Like he would have one like section of Broodling,
like squads and shit, like squad based.
And I was like, I'll kill these. I'll wave clear. And of course, I was playing Lena, so he would just dodge all my LSAs because everything he has moves at like 6,000 move speed.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the number.
Yeah, and then he would flank me with an entire different section of like a dozen broodlings. And I'm like, what the heck game is this guy playing?
Yeah, like, I'm fucking Charlie platoon, go in.
Like I'm playing
squad, back out. LSA's common evasive maneuvers. That's Brood Mother.
I'm playing Dota 2 as a mid laner, and he's playing like StarCraft as Zerg. And it was like, this sucks. This is like the most miserable game I've played. Anyway, so talking about that, let's transition to talk about TI. So we're going to talk about TI group stages so far. We've only had the first day, but even the first day has been very educational, and a lot of things all the analysts and whatnot will talk about.
First day, well, I mean, all right, so I'm going to level a little bit, and I'll say that I learned nearly nothing this TI so far that I didn't learn from just like spam spectating every NA pub that was played last night. I did that for a few hours, and that was way more educational than any of this shit. So I highly recommend, if you love watching TI to learn shit, but you're trying to get better at like pubs, fucking go to the watch tab after the games tonight and then watch all the fucking wild shit everyone is doing in these pubs. Because like you're getting a pub with literally every TI competitor. Like the whole both teams are just full of TI competitors. Like it was incredible, and almost everything that I'm seeing here was like stuff that I saw them all playing on alternate accounts where I couldn't really figure out which player was which. And it's
or they have non-standardized names, of course, because why not?
It roughly tells you what the player's name is, like in the client when you're going to watch the game. Once you get in, the name is not accurate.
Yeah, well, I mean, also that pub meta is all just trickled down from their scrims and whatnot, and their own theory crafting and all that, right? Especially during TI when you have all these intermingling of the various groups who would normally not play against each other on certain servers and whatnot. Anyway, so we're going to talk about this because I don't spam watch any pubs. I watch some if I'm trying to kill time, but I don't do that.
Was the day to do it, man.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about like our favorite... Do you want to do your first impressions of day one, at least? Like,
Yeah, team play is really important. People like Faceless Void. Every hero that's good, every TI is good. Every TI you get
yes,
is
Batrider, the classic.
Yeah, Batrider's back.
Quap.
There was a Quap is not every TI. What the fuck are you on about?
Yeah, Quap's a pretty standard hero. That's just like,
She's not a TI hero though. She's a standard Dota hero, but like she wasn't played at 5. She wasn't really played at 4. She wasn't played at all at 6.
Is that true? I feel like Quap rears her head every single time there's a big tournament because she's just so like every mid player plays Quap other than me.
No, 4 definitely not. 4 there was one Quap pick and it was Mushi and it was like, oh shit, the Mushi Quap because he's just so good at that hero and it fucking lost so hard.
Okay. All right. Regardless, Earthshake is another one of these that like follows your archetype much better than Quap.
Tide Hunter. Well, Earthshaker was already good. I'm talking about heroes that like for no fucking reason besides TI has come around, this hero is getting a lot of play again.
Okay. All right.
Like Wisp I would put up there, but Wisp is like people have been like, all right, this hero's actually good all the time. I'm like, never mind. Wisp is just great. Batrider kind of, although Bat's been like, a tier 2 offlaner for the entirety of the year. It's like every so often people are like, oh wait, there's an offlaner that isn't a tanky strength hero. Batrider, yes, let's pick that one. But the EG playing like a Naga support, that was very much like every TI Naga support comes back for some inexplicable reason.
It's always EG or OG.
Yeah, well, no, because it was Alliance was the ones who brought it in, and then
that's old. That's old.
Every TI. This is Sam. You're not good at this.
I get it. I'm just saying, like, I'm thinking recent memory. I'm thinking about teams that matter and exist. Alliance.
Okay. EG, AUI played it, so C9 might because he's AUI's there for.
That's
anyway,
true.
Fucking what else? What else coming back? Are there other like TI heroes like that? I'm surprised we haven't seen Enigma. Really, I think he's been.
That's true. But people aren't picking like there's 3 Enigma picks so far and 6 Enigma bans. Also, like Silencer's been a super high pick rate hero, and people don't want to pick Enigma against Silencer.
Oh yeah, for sure. And a lot of the Enigma stuff was like, oh, I want an offlaner that's going to do really well against Lifestealer when Lifestealer was super popular. So if Lifestealer's not there, it's not quite as much motivation to pick Enigma.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's been your standout so far. I mean, I've just kind of been enjoying the games and not like trying super hard to think analytically as I watch them. I watched most of it. I watched through Day 9 and Purge because they have they have an interesting dynamic. But it was interesting because Day 9 just asks questions and Purge answers them. Where compared to like a standard stream where like it's like, oh, you have play by play and the analyst, so it's more like educationally minded, although still natural.
Yeah. Every so often I would just feel bad because Dan and I would get super hype about something. It's like, oh, and then this is good, and then the man burn, so Quap won't blink away, and the Purge just is like, no, actually, it's for this reason. And Dan and I just like, I'm still excited.
There was one moment that stuck out to me, and I can't remember the exact context, but Purge was explaining something like high level complicated in the draft screen or in the draft phase. And then Day 9 had his own he's like, yes, I know this. And he went through and explained some, mid-tier analysis kind of thing really well and was all proud of himself. And it's something like, the synergy between X and Y is really cool because they do, Z and A. And he was right, but it was just very cool to see him,
like my son. He's
exactly.
So he's growing up so nice.
Yep, they grow up so fast. But yeah, I assume they'll do that tomorrow, unless they're flying out tomorrow or whatever. I don't know their schedules, but that was very fun. Highly recommend. Yeah. Other than that, I've enjoyed most of the casting pairings, which is not super relevant to a Dota theory crafting show.
Not at all. Thanks for mentioning it.
But also Blitz is there. That's the nice thing.
Are you gonna give us any interesting words, or are you just gonna continue to talk about the viewing experience?
I mean, that's what TI is, dude. It's a viewing experience.
What are you even here for?
I'm here to talk about TI viewing experience. Hello, welcome to Theorycraft Thursday, everybody's favorite TI viewing experience podcast. Okay, all right, fine. All right, so what has stood out to me has been a few hero picks, which we're going to get into right now. So let's talk about some of the surprising picks. We already said that some heroes that are top tier are not surprising that they're top tier. Like Earthshaker is probably the best example.
Oh yeah, if everybody didn't have Earthshaker in top 4 pick ban for this tournament, I don't know what Dota you've been watching or playing lately. Yeah,
it's all right, there's lots of Puck, lots of Earthshaker, and that's just how things go now.
Sand King, and if you don't get Earthshaker, then you probably want Sand King.
Yeah. Although now people are picking Kunkka a lot again. Not that he was uncommon. Cool. Not that he was uncommon recently, but I would say he was less common than he is now. I'm seeing him all the time when all the other top tier 4s are banned out or picked.
It's very much just that the expectations for roles change with the meta, and that's how you see meta shifts. Like because Kunkka kind of rose in a time where you got your initiation from your offlane and where you got like a lot of initiating team fighting stuff from your offlane, and your 4 just needed to like be able to stun and didn't need to be able to do everything themselves. Like you could play Shadow Demon Kunkka as a roaming duo, and that was acceptable. But then we kind of progressed into you actually only want a 4 that can both initiate the gank and start the gank off, and then your team fight can still come from your offlane. Yeah. Then there was like, actually now your initiating stuff is coming from your offlane, or rather your team fight ulti stuff is coming from your offlane, or team fight stuff coming from your 4. Initiating is from like the clockwork or whatever. So now we can support more like team fighty, less mobile supports like that. Like you can't run a Kunkka and an Abaddon in the same team, because then like who the fuck is gonna blink stun anyone? Like Kunkka's gonna find someone and X them, and then the whole team is going to like show up after you've given them 7 seconds to figure out what they want to do, or they'll just BKB out. But
exactly.
That's how it is. That's how it is.
And we no longer see 2 supports roaming. I think that's one of the big things that was
for the most part now.
Sometimes. And like there was the long period, like maybe 5 or 6 months ago, where it's like, all right, every game we run an aggro try, and sometimes it has our farming carry in it, because it's just like back when offlane Shrine was too good, and people are like, all right, I can't safe lane against an offlaner when he has Shrine and I don't, so I'm gonna offlane my safe lane and deal with that, and then I'll have a Shrine and it'll be fine. So I've been enjoying the Kunkka picks. I think the big one both of us want to talk about is Pugna. Neither of us are Pugna enthusiasts. I want to say that.
I love picking him for someone else.
Yeah.
And no one in my pub's playing him, because Pugna's a very specific boy. He's not a general lad. Like, you don't look at this person and say, like, oh, this dude has some very general interests that, like, most modern American families can, find something in common with. Like, that's not, you don't look at Pugna and see, like, the blank slate that you project your persona into.
He doesn't focus group very well.
No, definitely not a real focus group-oriented character. And they obviously did not focus group this character's design. They just kind of went with it.
Yeah.
And thank God they did, because holy shit. I mean, you've heard me... Some people who've listened to Proudly know my opinion on fucking Pugna's decrepit baby form.
Yeah, he's gross. I'm not on Proudland. Well, actually, nobody's on Proudland, RIP. But I am similarly opinionated about Pugna being god freaking weird looking. Yeah. Okay. So we've been seeing more Pugna. Pugna used to be, I would say, like a counter pick thing where it's like, oh, they have like a invoker in the mid.
I don't even think he was a thing, period. I don't like.
But when he was picked.
Yeah, no, because he was still bad. It was just like, if you did pick him,
he's bad doesn't mean people don't have reasons for picking the bad hero.
I'm saying that even if that is your, like, how to properly say, he is so fucking bad and shitty that even with all those reasons, you are still incorrect to think that he works as a counter pick.
I didn't say he works. I said he is picked, or he was picked. So here's my point, basically, is that Pugna used to be treated as a reactionary pick. Be like, oh, they have a bunch of people that don't want to build early BKBs and they spend tons of mana, and I want to stop that. But now he's being picked as a proactive pick for like push comps that are super, super annoying.
Okay. I would say people who are desperate to find a way for Pugna to be viable found refuge only in the prospect that maybe he's an okay counter pick. But now he seems generally viable. That would be more my take on it.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I mean, that's fair. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, he seems good, but it's just like in these very structured, like measured ways of playing Dota. Like, there's the 15-minute GG EG game.
Yes.
Where Sumail played Pugna, right? Like the classic Sumail Pugna, and by classic I mean like played once and it was a complete fucking disaster.
Yeah, I remember him losing horribly on it.
Yeah,
not this time, obviously, but
yeah, every so often, even when PPD was on the team, it's like every TI or like every big tournament, there's like one Sumail Pugna game, and you're like, why are you doing this again? But this time it worked out, and this time it seems like they figured it out, and other people have played it as well. So it's not just an EG thing, but the EG game is where you saw like the true strength of it, where Netherblast is just kind of an ability that deals damage to buildings from long range, and it's like in a longer range than Liquid Fire even, and it does more damage than Liquid Fire, and it does the same damage at all parts in the game. So turns out his building killing, like his high ground taking capabilities at minute 11 are about as good as they are at minute 60. And at minute 60, they're not bad. And at minute 11, they're fucking absurd.
Yeah. So far, Pugna's been picked by 5 different teams, or 5 times by 5 different teams. So it's clearly not a hero that is, widespread, but I feel as though watching these games, and of course all the players that, were busy playing, they're going to do their research. And I feel like there's a good chance we're going to see more of these super annoying Pugna, not necessarily rat drafts even, like their continued pushes.
Oh, absolutely not. This is Siege. This is like pure Siege draft.
That's what I'm saying.
There was a time where I think it was right as soon as, I want to say, as soon as they took the shrines out of the bases, people started running because okay, high ground is like slightly takeable now, but it's still the point where you rush it, you just lose. Almost every team was you always had like one designated high grounder, and it would be something like Shadow Fiend was first pick mid for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
After after the patch where they took some of the in-base shrines out, and every game the way that they would play is you would just have like when you push high ground, you would do it at, 25, 30 minutes or something when your Shadow Fiend has enough range to outrange a tower. And then every time your creep wave come up, or you'd have a way to get them vision high ground, you would just sit behind the Shadow Fiend with all your initiations and saves, and Shadow Fiend would just be like, whoa, and fucking hit towers, and they'd drop eventually. And Pugna can basically do the same thing, only instead of at minute 30, you do it at minute 12 if you do well enough early. And you can if you pick fucking Necro as your safe laner, who's just gonna like stomp his lane for whatever reason, because Necro is a fucking scary ass hero to face in lane.
Yeah, I'm very scared whenever we watch these programs, especially the international, which is the most publicized tournament. It is always scary to me when I see these trends or see individual games where one hero really stands out, or a selection of games like with Pugna's case, and I'm like, man, this better not get in my pubs. Like when when Doom has been big, I'm like, I don't want to frickin' play games against Doom.
Yeah.
Or like I don't want to play games against like Storm Spirit spammers or Pugna spam. Like I just don't want to play aggravating crap like that.
Yeah.
Or when
Viper got a lot of play at that tournament as well. G was playing a shit ton of Viper, and there's a lot of Viper in my games now.
Yes. Yeah. People lower themselves to things like that, unfortunately.
Yeah. They base themselves to pick the lower class of heroes.
Or like back when, I forget what tournament it was, when they were just playing mid Timbersaw like every game and just diving past GGs and stuff. I was like, man, like why don't you just not do this? Like why would you inflict this upon us, like adult human beings trying to play games of Dota 2? Instead we got to play freaking Timbersaw Simulator. Okay. So you brought up Necrophos. Let's talk about a bit about Necrophos, because Necrophos, I feel like in the last maybe ever since his like rework post 7.0, where like they combined some of his skills, he's been like a fringe pick. Like he comes up and then he leaves and he comes up again, and it's always in like weird situations where like they run him in aggro tries, or they run him as like a safe laner with an aggro try, or sometimes as a mid as like a counter pick to high strength lineups, and then they just like push super hard. Yeah. And he always has different items. Nowadays, it's more standardized with the Atos, but like historically, sometimes you'll see Dagon, other times you see him go Guardian Greaves, yada. A
fucking Blink or something. Yeah, the mech is also very common.
Veil.
Veil people like a lot on him. I've seen like an Aether Lens before, which I think is stupid as shit.
Yeah, that does not make much sense.
Yeah, it doesn't really make a lot, but yeah, I mean, there's a ton of options on him. And really just like the more people understand how absurd Ghost Shroud is, as far as just like, oh, I can save my wand and use my wand when I Ghost Shroud and it heals for fucking 700 health. Like that's some pretty good stuff when you get down to it. Yeah.
So what have you, so there are 7 picks of Necrophos today. Not a high win rate, actually, only a 28% win rate. So that's like 2 games out of the 7?
Yeah, just about.
And a bunch of bans as well. What do you think, just looking at the games right now, is the common denominator? Is he more in line with the like sustained push lineup, like we were talking about with the Pugna, where you'd pick Pugna, Necrophos like EG did? Or are you into him as like a counter pick to, they have a really high value core that we want to be able to put down for as much as possible, force buybacks more easily type thing? What's your like general impression?
I mean, I think the only way that he's good is if you have a team that's like going to snowball early and take high ground, because and a team that does that through other means. Because Necrophos is obviously like a strong hero. It doesn't scale amazingly, although of course if you do get that point where you kill someone when they don't have buyback and they're dead for 4 minutes, that's a pretty good
Uh-huh.
position to be in. But unless I mean that's like a thing that happens in my pubs when we have four carries, not a thing that happens in coordinated Dota.
Yeah.
Uh, if people don't just chill around with no buyback for no fucking reason. But yeah, I think he's really only good for that because pretty much for a hero to have a kind of issue scaling and an issue against BKBs, to be your core and then to also not have a way to kill buildings themselves, like that's just a shitty position to be in. Like Pugna kind of has the same issues that Necro does to a degree, but Pugna's plus, instead of making people die longer, is that he kills buildings. So if you have a Necro but don't have someone like a Clinks or I don't know a Pugna, some like a lone druid or something, if you don't have someone who can just bulldoze the buildings down for you with the advantage that you generate, then you're gonna fall off hit late game and then lose completely.
Uh-huh.
And if you don't have that, plus your mid laner or whatever is another hero that's countered by BKB, it's like an invoker or something like that, then there's going to be a strict timing where the enemy has 10 seconds of not giving a fuck about anything that you ever do, and that's not a good position to be in Dota.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, like
Um,
he won with, let's see, the wins were with EG with the Pugna team. That I pretty much was aware of that being good just because that game happened, and there was one other win supposedly, right?
let's
Should be.
see.
Yeah, Team Liquid 10 hours ago. Yeah, okay. And they had that plus they had that Earthshaker, which is a hero that can kind of make up for any holes in your team. So like they had a Nature's Prophet off lane and a I think that was Nature's Prophet off lane and a Troll Warlord. So the Warlord gives them an absurd amount of push and makes it so that the Matumba Man Necro can actually push decently, makes good use of the plus 40 damage talent. And yeah, Jesus, Matumba Man with the fucking Radiance thing. Radiance, Blink, fucking BKB, and then Dagon 5 right as the game ends because, memes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, God, the Radiance build is obnoxious. But I mean, hey, that extra 65 damage, like, Radiance is a total waste if you're only getting it for the aura. But if you have Troll ulti with you, have fun. Go for it. But yeah, so they have the Earthshaker that can make up for the fact that, I mean, Necrophos isn't going to provide any disable for your team. And he also doesn't really have any push, so you have to get the push from elsewhere. So you get the Nature's Prophet off lane, which does provide the push for you, but then as the counterpoint, the disadvantage that you get by getting that is your off lane doesn't have any fucking stun or team fight or anything. So the Earthshaker kind of provides stun and team fight and initiation all in one package. And then the Kuroki is, I guess, just to help you push more, like fucking Cold Embrace, a little Nature's Prophet Treant, and you will have high ground forever while you just punch that thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that seems good. Oh, and the heal works double on Necro when he's in his thing too. Yeah, that's crazy. Necrophos can press his
Gravekeeper's cloak. Nope, that's
Grave?
Visage.
Yeah, no, Ghost Shroud.
Ghost
Yeah, he
Shroud.
can pop Ghost Shroud, press Q right after he presses Q. Kuroki like freezes him. That's probably a wild amount of health. I
That's
kind of want
true.
to watch that game just to see that. Anyway, yeah, you need to pair him with someone who can like help you take it late game, or like one of those things where when we talk about do nothing heroes, the assumption is that there are specific roles that you, or rather specific properties or aspects of a balanced team that you expect a certain role to give you. And if one hero kind of like flouts those expectations or just doesn't fill them at all, then another hero is going to have to like pick up extra, or rather fulfill extra expectations that they don't normally fill. So that's one of the reasons why Earthshaker is so fucking cool, is in any lane you put him in, he can do the job of like your initiator and your skirmish stun and your like team fight damage hero. So that allows you to like have a hero like Necrophos that requires all these things from your team and balance it out with just 4 other hero picks.
Yeah, so this actually, Necrophos picks had me thinking about another hero that, after looking up a few things, I'm very interested in seeing if it develops more because of some other changes, like Oracle's now getting picked regularly, which I was stunned by. I saw it in a few games. I was like, oh, it's a counter pick to Batrider, and it's good with Kunkka because it's survivable. But the hero that I want to talk about is Ancient Apparition. So Ancient Apparition was not picked often in recent memory, and
it came back again at that tournament that Liquid won. That was Dream League, right? I'm thinking about Dream League.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know. But we don't see that much Ancient Apparition regardless, even when it's like I thought it was a counter pick, although Alchemist has we don't see as much Alchemist, so maybe that's why. Regardless, there were 4 Ancient Apparition games today. One of them was against Necrophos.
It was Dream League that was that he was getting a lot of play at. Yeah, like the one tournament that happened a couple weeks ago, AA was actually getting a lot of play.
Yeah. And it appears it's mostly LGD playing Ancient Apparition and one Empire game. But the Ancient Apparition is really cool to me because we are seeing more of these not snowbally, siege heavy comps with heroes like Kunkka that has like pseudo healing or I forget what the exact term they use in the game is. It's like
damage,
delayed damage, something like that.
Delayed damage. But yeah, I mean that's great with Oracle because that the delayed damage isn't going to be taken during Oracle's ulti. So like you will literally live through anything.
Yeah, and that's why like Oracle Kunkka is super legit.
Yeah,
but really cool. AA now, if Necrophos continues to be picked, I like the idea of seeing more AA and having AA as a counter pick to the Necrophos, as well as like we just talked about, picking it against Oracle and against Kunkka, and other general healing heroes.
Yeah. Although, also, I mean, decent against Pugna to a degree as well, because Pugna, like, not only is Pugna just, I don't know, there's so many things to talk about that are so obnoxious about Pugna, between like the fact that he can push, the Decrepify is annoying, and then also he can heal people, and the fucking ward, like he's just a lot of aspects of ridiculous ass shit.
Yeah.
But making it so that no one is healing out of his life drain is a big deal, because that thing sees a lot of use.
Yeah, and also he has expectable positioning, right? If he is sieging a tower, every 5 seconds with a blast. God, I don't know the names of anything. Nether blast.
Yeah.
Then it's like, right, I know exactly where he's going to stand. Even with an Aether Lens, like it's very expectable and very easy to hit.
Every 5 seconds, this small baby with an exploded, bloated rib cage is going to show up in this one location, and I can freeze his shitty skull over and make those dick horns mega frosty.
Exactly. All right, so that's like my hero that I'm looking out for. One other hero you brought up when we were talking that I want to talk a little bit about is Tusk. Because, we see these, top tier 4s more commonly, right? Sand King, Earth Spirit, and Earth Shaker. And Kunkka might qualify for that. Nyx Assassin as well, though Nyx is a flex pick 3 or 4.
I mean, Night Stalker is definitely there.
Oh, yeah, Night Stalker, duh. But Tusk was cool. We saw him in 5 games today. And
did we?
Yeah, 5 games today, 80% win rate.
Are you looking at this week or all time?
No, I'm looking at this week.
Really?
5 games, yeah. Let's see. LGD picked him, OG picked him, Infamous picked him, Liquid picked him, and Infamous picked him again.
What am I looking at if I'm not seeing that?
I don't know, but
where you at?
All the games were within the last 11 hours.
Okay, yeah, that sounds correct.
Yeah, but regardless, like it's super interesting to see Tusk more. I like that when a thing like we talked about with 4s, where like there's a clear dichotomy between like these are the top few and these are the lesser ones, and then you see teams innovating and being like, all right, we can't pick. Night Stalker was banned and Earth Spirit was banned, and they picked Earth Shaker, so we have to pick something from the second tier,
right?
And innovating like that, and I think Tusk is really interesting just to watch fundamentally, but also in like his role and what he does is a bit atypical compared to some of the other 4s.
Because I think he's exactly what 4s were kind of in their heyday of having the most, like when 4s had the most distinct and like inflexible directive, I guess, was when it was like Monkey King and Earthshaker, and who was the one other 4 besides those two? It's like there's only 4. There was Monkey King, there was Earthshaker. Oh no, Monkey King and Earth Spirit, and then there was one other besides Monkey King and Earth Spirit. I think it was it when it was like Slardar was the other option, but it was always bad. Like you just didn't want that. I guess it was just those 3.
Off the top of my head, I wouldn't know without like looking up things. I have a terrible memory for pro metas when it comes to like dating things.
It's general every meta, and those are games we were playing too. But yeah, so the idea was you would want a 4 that could gank, and a 4 that can gank necessitates a 4 that has a gap closer. Like you would want someone who can gap close and have a disable. And Ricky's kind of in that category because Blink Strike / Invisibility and Orb of Venom is technically, but it was like, all right, I want my Earth Shaker who can, or my Earth Spirit, they all have ES. I want my Earth Spirit who can drop a stone, roll in, and then, is slowed for, 2 seconds or whatever. And then eventually that got nerfed down to being like half a second or some shit like that. And then Monkey King also jump off the trees, do a crazy slow, hit you with Orb of Venom, you die out of nowhere. But Tusk is similar. It's just he was fucking bad. He can snowball out of nowhere and then hit you with Orb of Venom. Like he has a gap closer. It has a slight disable on it, and then he hits you with Orb of Venom. He's a tanky strength dude. That's what every roamer wanted to be. But they've all pretty much been nerfed out to roughly Tusk level. Like Earth Spirit's still in the game. He's just not that good. Monkey King got fucking nerfed out completely. Like he's not really a 4 anymore. He does not exist. He's not a good 4. But these heroes that can do that thing that is so necessary. Are good just by the virtue of that they are 4s with gap closers and disables. Like that's just really fucking good now.
Yeah, I think so my idea with this in that his atypicalness is just that in comparison to other 4s, when you're scaling past the laning stage, he functions pretty differently, right? Because his gap closer forces him right into a situation where he has no escape from. He needs to be right in melee range to nuke somebody, which is also a disable, right?
Yeah, with his ulti,
He has a slow-moving shards compared to Fissure, which is, fairly instantaneous. So in that, like, in the laning stage, it's pretty, I snowball in and then I block the path and we kill somebody. And I slow them with a sigil, yada, yada, yada. But scaling into the game, right, all the other 4s, or most of them, not Night Stalker, but most of them are from range, either blinking in and making stuff happen, like your Sand Kings and like your Earth Shakers, or, Earth Spirit, who is both effective from afar, kicking stones or pulling stones, and also can get in real quickly and gap close, and then get out pretty quickly, because, in the mid game, you have enough levels in Rolling Boulder to, it has what, like a 8-second cooldown at max level?
I think it's like 6 or something.
It's something short and basically long enough for time. Like you can get all your other abilities off and probably roll out. And whereas Tusk, his like the way that he functions, in this mid to late game sense.
It's like 4. Holy shit. Rolling Boulder, 4-second cooldown. What a skill.
Jeez.
I thought it was 6. Whatever. Cool.
Yeah. But so in this mid to late game situation, he's much more like, I don't know. He does not fit that exact same archetype that I think of when I think of like the other 4s that are blinking in or doing some kind of
as far as like his prime, like the prime purpose of the hero, like, and this is why he was so shit when everyone else had the ability to just like gap close and then kill their mid laner. Like that's all Tusk does very well. Everything else he does in a very strange roundabout way. Like once you hit once you hit like mid late game on a Crystal Maiden or something, like you're not sitting in the middle of a team fight looking at people in the face and dropping your nukes and then auto attacking in between. You're like very floaty, you're back, you do one spell, then you get the fuck back, wait till it's safe. And Tusk kind of plays in a similar way. Like you're not laning stage anymore. It's like 35 minutes in. The fact that you're a strength hero doesn't necessarily mean that you're tanky anymore. So you just like maybe run in, snowball, punch someone in the air, and then you get the fuck back and try to find a good place to ice shards and keep microing your little like frozen sigil. He definitely does way different shit once you hit mid game than he does early game.
Yeah. And also the big thing is that in his rounds of nerfs, they did decrease the speed at which shards travel. Yeah. And there was one Jarek's game I remember watching earlier where he missed a couple clearly just because of that change in speed, where like it was just, a scotch too short. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing that. That was one of the things that I just did not really expect to see. I was like, oh, Tusk, like what a novel hero. All right. Do you want to talk about Faceless Void? Like Faceless has changed a bit, right? Like we think of him as an off laner, or we used to think of him as a carry, and then he went to off lane, and then he went to being like a safe laner when you aggro try, and then now he's almost exclusively being played. Or not, that's a lie. He's usually being played in the safe lane as like a farming core, and I think I saw EG play him as an off laner at least once today. But he's been changing it a tad, right? He's being played more aggressively, less like a utility offlaner and more like a actual, damage dealing core to facilitate other heroes. Like AA, another reason why AA might climb. AA Faceless is pretty legit.
Yeah, it's at least farming core, I think, is the way. So some people are running it like mid for whatever reason, and it's not just EG. I just saw another person did. Yeah, QO played it mid and they won with it, which is interesting. I'm not sure if I'd call it like cool or whatever, but it was definitely interesting. Ana played it only safe lane or whatever, so that I guess maybe No Tail's their Death Prophet player, but either way, that's something that did happen. Let's see. Yeah, okay. KP played it off on newbie. But yeah, it's a very flexible core, and that's like one of the big reasons that people are playing like that. I need to cough, so talk for a second.
Okay, all right. Well, I've been seeing the Faceless as a resurgence as a safe lane core has been interesting to me because
Yes.
I okay. Would you like to?
No. I was I was just letting you know that I had finished my coughing fit, and I just wanted to chime in like, yes, correct, right, sounds good. Keep going.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad. But it has been fun to see. I mean, I enjoy Faceless just fundamentally. I know a lot of people hate Faceless, because he's so unique. But I have been enjoying seeing Faceless played as a safe lane core again, in the sense that offlane Faceless as a utility hero really just bored me to death. It's like, oh, you pick it and you have an Invoker on your team, or you pick it out and you have an AA on your team, or you pick it against super evasive heroes like Puck. And so I've been having a lot of fun watching these Faceless Voids being played in a more farming intensive area. And I'm interested to see what counters come out to this playstyle, because he's one of the most picked heroes at the moment. Not super frequently banned either. So I'm waiting to see what people's counterplay to that is going to become. Because it's usually picked and it's like, all right, like we want to have Orchids, but he builds Manta, so we want to have other things. I forget what team it was, but they counted him with like 3 Orchids. I think it was in that mid Brood game, actually. Like Brood had an Orchid and somebody else had an Orchid. Yeah. And like a Nature's Prophet had an Orchid. But the hero is so unique, and it's fun to watch people play around him.
Yeah, he's cool.
So what do you think about the Faceless prevalency?
I mean, I think he's definitely good as a core. I feel like Faceless is one of those heroes that has never not been good as a safe laner.
Okay,
it's just that
it's controversial.
Well, it's right. So, just like even at TI6, like Wing Shadow, he played a lot of Faceless Void, and it was never. You giving me some feedback, or is that?
No, I'm not.
Okay, I heard some noise and then it just stopped. Anyway, hopefully that was just me. Who the fuck's inviting me to play Dota 2? Get out of here. Okay, yeah, so Faceless Void, like I think he's always been decent. He just doesn't exactly fit what people wanted out of their carries for a certain time.
Okay.
But I mean, he's always been good and always definitely a flex pick, although there have been times where he just wasn't a good offlane, so not super necessary in that fashion. But there's never been a point in Dota 2's history where a Chronosphere hasn't been a tool that can be utilized to win a game, just like flat out. Chronosphere's always been like a strong skill. And I feel like in most phases of the game, there's been at least a couple players who have managed to make Faceless work, and it's never been extremely surprising that a Faceless did well in a game. The advent of Mask of Madness is definitely bringing him way back in terms of like just being a hero that can transition to from having like a good laning phase and having a scary like right click at level 1 and up through 3 into so like this hero can have kill potential at all parts in the game, and then also continue farming to the point where he's going to like do well. Like when Iron Talon was at its peak, it was like, okay, so Faceless Void can get Iron Talon, and because Iron Talon is good, and there are so many camps so spread out, Faceless is always going to find some place to get some CS and grow to some degree. Then Iron Talon gets nerfed out a bit, and then for various reasons, Faceless Void is nowhere near as appealing, somewhere between the things that you want from an offlaner. Like there was a time where you wanted your low cooldown fighty stun from your offlaner, where we had like people like Centaur and shit like that, where the Faceless Void Chronosphere wasn't quite as necessary because you already had your team fight disable. You need the low cooldown blink stun, which Faceless doesn't do.
Yeah.
But now that things are a bit more open, it's not just, okay, you want this from this hero, and then you want this property from this hero. Like a lot of people do a lot of different things in a lot of different lanes now, so it's very cool. So it's a lot more open. There's more places to fit in the kind of team fight that Faces can provide to you from any role. It's not like, oh, if we slot him in safe lane, he doesn't do that. Like any role can go anywhere, and then you can pick up whatever property from whatever role to more than you like to a degree further than you used to be able to do in most patches. So yeah, I mean, it's good. Like he has Mask of Madness, so you can kind of do whatever, and you can kind of always get farm and always have kill potential, kind of no matter where he's set up. And as far as items he transitions into, like Diffusal's good still. Diffusal's like really strong. Manta's still good. His Ags is acceptable. Silver Edge is like a strong item that you can get on a lot of heroes. Blink is, totally fine. Manta's good. Linken's is good. Like all the items that a Faceless is going to want to build are fine. And there's nothing bad about anything that Faceless does. It's good stuff.
Yeah. So are there any heroes that really stood out to you that you want to talk about? I know I just brought up like the last few.
I was really interested in Phantom Lancer because there was a large trend going around about how actually Phantom Lancer is good and has been good this whole time. It's just that you're actually not supposed to build Manta on him. Manta's completely fucking dead slot. Like when you think about a 6-slotted PL, Manta is a trap, and then you end up with 5,000 gold for something that doesn't really do anything for you.
Yeah, apparently his Ags is bad too.
Oh yeah, his Ags is bad. That's also another item that's 4,000 gold that doesn't do anything for you.
Yeah, well, because there was that like research where it was like, oh man, Faceless is good now. You get Ags and you flash farm.
Yeah,
and it was like, no, it turns out that was wrong. That was a really dark week in PL history.
I'm gonna nod to the audience and say, Sam, you said Faceless, not Phantom Lancer there. So yeah.
Well, same thing. Faceless and Ags is also not a thing that people build.
Yeah, but yeah, so the Phantom Lancer just kind of has this issue where he's a carry that doesn't have a steroid really, and by steroid, of course, we means an ability that transforms your auto attack from a Crystal Maiden Snowball into like a Sven God Strength crit, like Juggernaut's crit or Juggernaut's lower base attack time. Like those are his steroids. PA's crit, PA's Blink Strike, and her Dagger Toss steroids. But PL, like his auto attack spawns illusions, but those illusions do 5 damage. They mana burn, true, but they mana burn when you get Diffusal, and they don't. That doesn't change. That's like once you hit 20 minutes, that amount of damage is not gonna carry you through the entire game. Yes, you burn their mana. How do you kill them? The mana burn doesn't actually deal that much damage. And I thought that the solution would be, you don't get Manta, and instead you get a fucking item that kills people, and you don't get Ags, you just get an item but every game it's like, you got a Fusel and you go Manta. I'm like, what? I was doing that. It sucked. What happened? So I don't know. I don't know if he's good or if it was just situational. Like, Peel's always able to get to that point where like, he's hella farmed, we can't kill him, and eventually the game ends through entropy, and the fight is just like indescribable, and you just win out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But it's not like that's kind of what he was before. So I don't know if something's different. Like I look at their talents, I'm like, okay, they go the same talents that I do. I'm still not super impressed with this hero. Like he's okay, but I don't know, man. It seems game specific and very last picky, not last piggy. That'd be weird.
That would be weird.
He's still very last picky. You go Diffusal. I mean, I think treads are good on him, so you can fight and do shit. Maybe just skip your upgrading your boots entirely and don't rush the phase or don't rush travels. I don't know if I like him mid still. I don't know, man. I don't know about PL. That's why it's interesting to me because I don't actually know the fucking answer.
Okay, that's fair. So just before we close out, let's give like one, maybe 2 heroes that we want to see or that we're interested to see that are not being picked often or at all at this point.
Oh shit, we got an hour.
Yeah, I do think, as soon as I just introduced this new segment, I would want to backtrack and say I am very excited about the Winter Wyvern play, and she's been super strong in all the games she's played. So God bless. All right, so one here that I'm really looking out for that I would like to see more of would probably be, let's see, I had one and then I got distracted and now I don't have one anymore. Gosh, you're killing me. All right. I know your answer is going to be Arc Warden, so let's talk about Arc Warden.
It wasn't, but okay.
Okay. I would like to see more Arc Warden because I know nothing about this hero. Honestly, like, I don't like it in my pubs and stuff, but I think the hero is fun to watch, and I'm interested in seeing more of this hero in pro play, right? Because it's very contentious. I forget who it was. It was in No Tail talking about Arc Warden. He's like, yeah, times I played and it feels really good. And other times I played and it feels like the worst hero in the entirety of Dota 2. Somebody said that. And so I'm excited as a not Arc Warden player that maybe someday will become an Arc Warden player to watch this hero be played in pros. Today, he got picked once and lost, and he got banned twice. So, well, what do you think? Like, what do you think is stopping Arc Warden from being like a legit hero, or do you think this hero is like in the pocket of teams and will be revealed at some point? Like, I know OG has a couple Arc Warden players.
I'm like really unsure, honestly, about this dude here. Wait, give me 1 second.
Sure.
I need to test something here. Yeah, like I think he's good, and I've been playing in my pubs, and that's been going well. I'm just not. He's good. I don't fucking know, dude.
You're not convinced?
Yeah, like he's good in pubs, but there's so many situations where I see a hero and I'm like, oh, that person can get all up in my face, and then I'm gonna get my glasses punched in, and like that's just a bad position to be in Dota 2, man. Like I don't want to get my glasses punched in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, nobody wants that.
It's just, I'm just afraid. Man.
I suppose my other pick for a hero that I'm looking forward to seeing more of, and I think could be interesting, is more Mirana, specifically core Mirana. EG played it once today. I mean, it was a 4 Mirana, but they like aggroed with it, and it ended up being a full core. And I think core Mirana is actually pretty legit, and people stopped playing it mid like it was back in the heyday because of all the, like, what was it, like 4 patches in a row of nerfs to Starfall and her Aghanims. And so I'm not surprised that it's not a high pick rate hero, but I feel like it has some potential both as a core and as a... Yeah, I mean, like we just talked about, like she doesn't really fit into the meta game of 4s at the moment unless you run her in really weird situations. So you have to compensate for that by picking other things that provide, range initiation and consistent stuns and stuff like that.
Yeah,
I don't know where she fits in exactly, but I feel like she could be strong as a mid laner or as like a flex, kind of like people run safe lane Necrophos and then they aggro and they just farm it out like off lane versus off lane. Maybe so, I just want to see more of Mirana because I feel like her talents are good and she has solid potential both as a spell damage dealer and a physical damage dealer. That's it for me. Well, what do you want to see more of, Prod?
I want to see people play Lone Druid and stat building Radiance. Okay, sorry, I forgot that I had to do something. On the Monday show, there was a correction to Proudland that was wrong. They said that that when you spawn an illusion, Diffusal Blade. You know, Diffusal Blade does less damage for illusions.
Yes.
Yeah, they said that damage is reduced by the fact that illusions do less damage. Which is not true. Like, you know how illusions do 20% damage?
Yeah.
The mana burn that you do to people does damage also, but that damage is completely separate from the illusion damage reduction.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it says in the tooltip, it says, illusions will deal 14 damage or whatever it is.
Yeah, and that
14
damage then translates to, I think 14...
Isn't it factored in as magical damage? So it'd be like 12.
No, it's mana burn is physical damage.
Oh, okay. Never mind then. Is it affected by armor? I don't think so, right?
Yeah, it is.
It is? Okay.
It can't crit, but it is, yeah. So it's like,
can you imagine mana burn critting?
Yeah, well, that'd be cool. Then Diffuse will be way better on PL or not PL, on PA and Juggernaut. Like, that'd be sick.
That would be really cool.
That's just straight up plus 50 fucking damage. That's crazy. Well, I guess 40. But yeah, so just, correction, do the correction. And I remember that, like, that's a really, like, the words for that are difficult to explain to someone who doesn't, like, the concept is foreign. But yeah, like, illusions, the damage reduction that illusions have is purely just, like, the white damage of their auto attack. Like, the white number on their auto attack is just multiplied by, like 0.2 if you have a 20%, or if you only do 20% damage. The 100 damage you do is actually 20. And then little auxiliary effects, like Radiance and the Illusion, Mana Burn, or whatever, if those do less damage when they're coming from illusions, it will specify that to you. Like, it's not like when a Naga Illusion Riptides or whatever, it actually only does 7 damage. Like, it's not. Spells do what they say on illusions. It's purely just when you make an illusion, its auto attack is going to do a percentage of the white number of your damage. Not the plus damage, just purely the white number of your damage. Anyway, glad to get that out of the way. I just didn't want to be corrected incorrectly.
Okay, that's good. So are there any heroes that are not being picked right now or are barely being picked that you think have potential that you would like to see?
I don't really think so. As far as like, there are some things that I think are really good in pubs that we're not going to see here. Like Clinks is wild good in pubs, I think. And Spirit Breaker's obviously wild fucking good. We're gonna see more more Underlord as the game goes on. Underlord also fits kind of into that category of like, I was talking before about how Underlord, the last time he was good was when you had the fours that were like
Force Lardars.
Force Lardar was a big thing, and Clockwork is pretty similar to Force Lardar in my opinion. Although I think Clockwork has kind of fallen out a lot since the last nerf, but with certain things like maybe with the Nyx Assassin is pretty common, and I think he's good with that. He's really good with Faceless. If you drop the Firestorm inside of Faceless ulti, like that's some good shit. Yeah, like I think we're gonna see more Underlord. I think Pugna may be a flash in the pan. Like it might just be cute and then it's kind of over with. Like, oh, this is a little strat. But since it's being used in the group stage, maybe it's just fucking good, and I don't really know.
Yeah, maybe it'll get figured out. Because it is like a very linear like thing that it does.
Yeah.
Like, it pushes incrementally and it's annoying. Okay.
I'm just not sure if it's something like a Drow strat where it's like a one specific thing that works in one specific way, or if it's like, oh, we play Pugna in a lot of different ways, not just with RTZ on Necrophos. I don't know. We may see more Monkey King mid or safe lane. As far as things that I noticed in my pubs, or not in my pubs, but just like watching pubs, there was a non-zero amount, and there was a plurality of Monkey Kings that went Battle Fury in the safe lane.
What?
And yeah, there were a few of those. And then I played one in one of my games. It wasn't great, but when you Omni-slash a Monkey King inside of his ulti, turns out it does 0 damage, which was a learning experience for me. But yeah, I last night there were 3 like over 7k pubs that had Monkey King Battle Fury builders in the safe lane, and in one of my games there was a Monkey King with a Battle Fury. So maybe that's a thing, or maybe that's just NA being fucking awful. One of the two, but there were some people who are playing at TI that did play it in the safe lane. So maybe they're just trying out. I don't know. It might come up, and that'll be a tough day, because I think Monkey King's a really fucking bad safe laner. Dude, and I am still convinced of that despite what I saw.
Does the Battle Fury work on his things from the ult?
Yeah.
Like, do they cleave?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's more just that he doesn't have a farming tool, and if you get that, like, that's his life regen, that's his mana regen, and he farms fast as shit with it. And also, it is good. It's similar to, like, his big thing is like his ulti, instead of an intermittent Ravage with the Battle Fury, it's an intermittent Ember Spirit Sleight of Fist back when that was a good ability.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. But yeah, you would just get like, I think they do, it was like Battle Fury, S&Y, which I loved, and then Deso and like fucking Diffusal and Scotty and like, just random shit like that. Like every proc they can put on the ulti.
Yeah.
And it was pretty crazy. Like the second you walked into that thing, not only will you like cleave down your armor suffered or whatever, but you had no mana. Like you would just get hit by like 5 little monkey boys, and you're just like, oh, there goes fucking 250 mana in 1 second. And then he'd Echo Saber slap you. Oh no, most of them don't even get Echo Saber. Anyway, yeah, there's just some weird shit with Monkey King. So we might see that, we might not. I think that's about it. Like we're not going to see much Lifestealer at all, and that's for certain. I feel like we're gonna see more Terrorblade. Like there's gotta be a reason to see Terrorblade. And like Anti-Mage was like first pick at DreamHack 2 weeks ago, and now he's just like not there. So maybe the increased skill of the team play makes that not good, or maybe that was just the personal meta between two teams. But yeah, like things to be wary of. I don't know if look out for, but like like you're not really like looking out for the alien and fucking in the movie Alien, you're wary of it. You're like, you hope you don't see it, and you probably won't, but if you do, you be upset and call someone. Monkey King safe lane, that's very much a fucking watch. Like be careful, don't look at that thing with unprotected eyes. And then like where's Terrorblade? Like where's he at? Do you know? Underlord. We're gonna see Underlord, I swear to God.
Yeah, I think Honorable picked once. I think
Universe
Terrorblade was seen a
playing
couple
him,
times.
and I specifically remember Universe was playing Underlord in some of the pubs that I was watching, and there was another couple people who were playing him. So definitely TI people are not unaware that this hero exists.
Okay, I'm excited just to see more, but I've enjoyed the first day so far and all that, especially myself since I'm not that like I don't watch that much pro Dota. It was fun to watch and see some of the developments that
And I'm sure you saw on Twitter, Mr. Blue pointed out that who was it? Was it MP? No, it was Raven. Raven went but the PA build that I used to advocate for that Cyphus still does. The Phase Aki Wand Vanguard and then Desolator instead of the Vlads then Desolator, because when you're safe lane, you don't need a fucking Vlads.
Okay, I agree.
So Raven did that. So thank you, Raven, for the personal shout out.
Yep. I watched that game and I was like, man, this is eerily reminiscent of a thing that I've seen many times. All right.
Build.
All right. So I think that's going to close it out for us. If you would like to participate in our constant discussion of the TI as it goes on, we have a Discord server, discord.gg/.p. In there, we have a channel called, what is it? Pro Dota TI7 Talk. And that's where I think literally the entirety of today, as games were going on, people were just talking. So if you would like to talk about TI and talk about games, that is the place to go. You can, of course, also find us on Twitter. Myself, I am Ursinity at Ursinity. Proud is at Proud Dota. Our show is at .p_show. You can, of course, talk to us about TI there also. We will be at TI next week. We're doing a live recording on Wednesday at Gamma Ray Games, which you can look up, or on the Monday show. I believe they gave an address because I don't have it off the top of my head. And we're going to be doing that on Wednesday, I believe, an hour, give or take a few minutes after the last series of games ends. And we'll be there. I think we're going straight there. So, if you get there early, obviously, that's more than welcome. And we will also be at the Reddit meetup let's see, I think we're going to put out like a graphic or something. But we will be there. And I believe we're also doing a live recording there for Breaky's show. So, yeah, we're going to be at TI the whole time. And, of course, like we said, we're going to be at TI. So, find us and talk to us. Or we'll find you. Some combination of the two, I'm sure.
I will actually personally seek out every person. I have names and I have lists and I know where you will be. So if you do not come, then I will need to drag myself out of wherever I am staying and I will come to your house and I'll make you mac and cheese, craft mac and cheese. And I'll cook it, and I'll use the milk from a freshly born pig.
Exactly.
Young pig milk.
And if you'd like to access that is a reward specifically. It's a hidden reward actually on our Patreon, patreon.com/Defense of the Patience. People don't know this, but as easily as you could spend $1 and get all our Patreon episodes, you can actually spend an undisclosed amount of money per month, and Proud will do that specifically to you. So for you lucky winners of that reward, expect your newborn calf milk made cheese thing.
A pig.
A pig? Oh, okay, that's new.
A pig calf.
A pig calf. My favorite kind of calf.
Well, like the leg part, like not like a young cow, like your calves.
I don't have calves. Muscles are not a thing.
Pigs do, and you can make milk out of it.
All right. Well, this is just
more of an extraction process, if I'm being literal here.
Yeah, it sounds like there's a lot of science involved, and I think the more I think about this, the more my head hurts. So let's close it out, shall we? Everybody, it's been our theory, and it's been your TI. So enjoy it and watch with us. Thanks. Right. I try.